You're listening to a New York Jets episode of the Jacob Valk Show. He's breaking down the team's latest goings-on as only he can. Follow him on Twitter at RealJacobValk. Here he is, Jacob Valk.
Hello, Jets fans! Welcome to another New York Jets instant recap here on the Jacob Valk Show. I am Jacob Valk, and I don't know what to do. I'm the one who writes the descriptions for these shows. I've been so used to saying loss, loss, loss. What's the opposite of that? I don't know. It's a first. This is the first instant recap for the New York Jets on the Jacob Valk Show, where I've reacted to a game that they've won. The Jets did it. They're not going to go 0-16. Before I get into the whole Trevor Lawrence end of things, let me just talk about this game and only this game. Because Sam Darnold played great. There is no one that has been harder on Sam Darnold than me, but the kid played a great game. Completed 22 of his 31 passes for 207 yards and a touchdown. Didn't throw an interception, didn't fumble the ball away. You've got to give him credit. Against one of the best defenses in the NFL, he had his best game of the season. Jamison Crowder looked good, Chris Herndon looked good, Ty Johnson looked good, Sam Ficken looked really good. Braden Mann, the punter, coming up big with the tackle at the end. There's some Jets fans that now want him cut. Neville Hewitt had a really good game. Marcus May had a great game. The big play at the end with the deflection. The defensive line was fantastic outside of John Franklin Myers. But even then, Myers wasn't bad. He just wasn't fantastic. He was really good. Frankie Louvu looked good. Harvey Lange looked good. Bryce Hall looked really good. The Jets limited one of the best offenses in the NFL. You've got to give the defense credit for that. Adam Gase had a good game plan with the quick passes. You don't want to give Aaron Donald much time to impact the play. Donald still got his. Of course he did. He's Aaron Donald. But he didn't have the game-wrecking impact that everyone thought he would. Make no mistake about it. This is the biggest upset this year. 24 hours ago, it was the Giants beating the Seahawks. Now, it's the Jets beating the Rams. I mean, you've got to give the coaching staff credit. They had a good game for the most part. Yeah, Gase had some moments that made you a little nuts. You don't want Frank Gore having 23 carries. Especially when Ty Johnson looks like the better player. But again, it worked. The Jets got the win. Adam Gase isn't coaching to lose. No coach does that. Make all the jokes you want. The simple fact is, whatever he does on Sunday, he really thinks gives the Jets the best chance of winning. Is he right most of the time? No, he's 1-13 this year. But he was right today. Gore got the job done. His big catch at the end of the game, Sean McVay's ridiculous decision to not kick the field goal. You have to kick the field goal there, McVay. What are you doing? You have a chance to tie the game. And you run a play for Gerald Everett. Not Robert Woods, not Cooper Kupp. Gerald Everett. Adam Gase today out-coached Sean McVay. But now it's time to get to the meat and potatoes. What everyone is concerned about. The Jets' draft position. As it stands right now, the Jets have the second overall pick. The Jaguars have the first overall pick. Meaning that Trevor Lawrence could be taken by the Jaguars before he ever gets to the Jets. If they're not sold on Darnold, they're going to take Justin Fields. Now, I want to say something about Fields before I get into Lawrence. I'm not sure I would take Fields with the second overall pick. This may be recency bias talking. No one has been harder on Sam Darnold than me. I do not think Sam Darnold is a franchise quarterback. But I'm not so sure Fields is. Did you watch him against Northwestern? He looked dreadful. He completed less than 50% of his passes. He only threw for 114 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown. He threw 2 picks. This is a pattern. Justin Fields does not play great in big games. In the CFP last year, he wasn't fantastic. He wasn't awful, but he threw 2 interceptions when he had only thrown 1 that whole season. What he does against Clemson on New Year's Day is going to speak volumes to me. At the end of the day, I don't care what he did against Penn State, or Rutgers, or Nebraska, or Michigan State. How does he play with the lights on bright, with the entire college football world watching? The Jets are going to have a real decision to make. If Fields lays an egg against Clemson on New Year's Day, and Sam Darnold plays like this against the Browns and Patriots, would the Jets stick with Darnold for another year? I can make the argument that trading down would be better for the Jets than taking Justin Fields. I still have a little bit of time before I have to say that with a sense of finality, one way or the other, but as it stands right now, I can make that argument very easily. But to the people saying that this means that Trevor Lawrence is destined to be a Jacksonville Jaguar, I don't think that's true. I'm not begrudging the Jets fans who were rooting for this team to lose as much as I did when they blew the game against the Raiders a couple of weeks ago. The Jaguars only have 2 games left. They've got to win one of those 2. When I was saying that stuff right after the Raiders game, they had 4 games left. It's been cut in half. Do I disagree with rooting for the Jets to lose if you're a Jets fan? Yes. But I'm not going to go as crazy as I did a couple weeks ago. The strength of schedule is definitely going to benefit the Jaguars. That's just fact. Which means that the Jets are going to need the Jaguars to beat the Bears and or the Colts to get the first overall pick when the season ends in a couple weeks. Jacob, why did you add that modifier? That's unnecessary. No, it isn't. I'm going to go back to something that I've said in the past. I don't think it's out of the question that the Jets could move up one spot. Look at what happened with the Jaguars today. They lost to the Ravens 40-14. You don't need to be a football genius to figure out that that's more on the defense than it is the offense. They allowed Lamar Jackson to score 4 touchdowns. I understand that Lamar Jackson is a former MVP. But this guy hasn't scored 4 touchdowns in a game all season. Let's take a look at what Gardner Minshew did. He completed 22 of his 29 passes for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 5 times. Yeah, the Jaguars' offensive line is bad. Their tackles, Cam Robinson and Jawan Taylor, are useless. That's not on Minshew. This Jaguars season isn't on the quarterback. I understand that the guy was benched for Jake Luton and Mike Glennon. That's not a good look. But this year, Minshew has 16 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. He's completed over 65% of his passes. This season isn't on Minshew. It's on this anemic Jaguars defense. Is it out of the realm of possibility that if the Jets offer the 2nd overall pick, the Seahawks first from this year, maybe Quinnen Williams, maybe another first, maybe some other picks, I don't know, I'm just spitballing, and use that package to move up one spot? The Jets have more of an issue at quarterback than the Jaguars do. I understand it's not ideal to have to trade up to the 1st overall pick. And there's no guarantee that the Jaguars go for it. Maybe the new GM says, "You're nuts. I'm taking Trevor Lawrence." But I'll tell you, if I was the new Jaguars GM and the Jets made me a Godfather offer, I'd consider it. This goes back to a point I made a couple weeks ago. There is no guarantee that the Jets, if they don't go 0-16, can't get Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars can beat the Bears. The Bears aren't world beaters. Hallelujah, they beat the Vikings today. It's not going to be easy, but it's not impossible. And God only knows if the Colts are going to have anything to play for when they play the Jaguars to finish out the season. Like I said, now I'm not going to go as crazy towards the Jets fans that were rooting for this team to lose than I went a couple weeks ago. Look, Jets fans, be happy that your team won. I promise you, you don't want 0-16 on your ledger. 1-15 looks a lot better than 0-16. Now this team won't be mentioned in the same breath as the 17 Browns, or the 08 Lions, or the 82 Colts, or the 76 Buccaneers, or the 60 Cowboys. Winless teams. It's a fantastic thing to not have that mark. And I'm telling you, there's a possibility that the Jets can have their cake and eat it too. They can avoid the winless season and get Trevor Lawrence. I don't think it's out of the question that the Jets could move up one spot. Maybe two, depending on what happens with them and the Bengals. Is it unlikely? Maybe. But that's what sports is. It's rooting for unlikely things. And then when they happen, no one begrudges you for shedding a few tears. To quote the great Timothy Richard Tebow, unbelievable things can sometimes be possible. New York Jets instant recaps come your way next week and the week after. Regular episodes of The Jacob Valk Show will come your way Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week and the week after. After that, it's 5 days a week for the foreseeable future. You've also got some special shows to look forward to. You're definitely going to want to hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to this. iTunes, Spreaker, YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I don't care. You're not going to want to miss out on anything. I promise you. Until next time, I am Jacob Valk saying, where would you rather start this season? Syracuse or Las Vegas?